Greetings, welcome back. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm Garrett. He's Kyle. This is Into the Nexus, podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. Congratulations, Kyle.
Yes?
You won.
Oh. Yeah, we won our first NGS series. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you were stoked about it. I thought you'd pick up on what I was laying down, and now I feel like I have unintentionally dunked on you.
Well, no, I was excited. No, it's great. It's great. You know, we're coming together. We're finally working out the kinks. There was a lot of talking in the comms last night, which was probably our biggest issue, is just kind of going quiet. So we've cleaned that up a little bit. I mean, I'm also just excited because I got to play a Yrel game, and Yrel's awesome and really fun. So I just had a grand old time with it. We'll talk a little in depth about it today.
I'm looking forward to it. I have I've gotten back off the Malthael train, mostly because I couldn't get you to heal me this week, and I'm back on just being a scummy Illidan player.
That's fair. I certainly understand. I do enjoy Greymane, but I just don't want to do it healerless. Mephisto can slightly participate, particularly with, some talents to help him heal, but it's just a bummer out there not going as hard as you can on that fantasy like Malthael and staying attached, being dirty. I did just actually do a replay review with Fancy Pants on Malthael that you might want to check out over on youtube.com/heroeshearth.
Oh, I do. That sounds very interesting.
Yeah,
color me interested.
Let me spoil. Let me spoil a little bit for you, because I found this fascinating. I didn't even know this is how the talents lined up in reality. Let me get the names here. So basically, we all know the old Q build, right? You press Q, Qs, more Qs.
It's Malthael.
Yeah.
You press Q.
So Malthael's biggest problem is burst. He puts the dot on everybody, and for the first 50% of their health, no one cares. And Malthael's at his best when everyone's running away scared. So the build that's evolved for Malthael is actually about providing him with burst, and you do this through the level 7 talent Massacre. Wraith Strike now damages and applies Reaper's Mark to enemies around its target. And you think to yourself, my auto attack splashes, what a useless talent.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought to myself. And yet, I have pulled it up on our trusty hot slugs, and it's the highest win rate talent, Massacre.
That is because it stacks with the level 16 talent Mortality. When damaging a hero, Wraith Strike deals bonus damage equal to 8% of the hero's max health.
Okay, Kyle, I'm for the audio listeners at home, I am physically picking up a notepad.
So you mark them, and then as they pull back into their team, and maybe even Anduin grabbed or something like that, you teleport to them with Wraith Strike. And because it applies mark in an area, Wraith Strike deals bonus damage equal to 8% of its max health. So you bomb the entire area with 8% max health damage.
Oh, because it's when damaging a hero, and since you now damage a hero with Wraith Strike
in an AoE, it stacks.
Oh my god, dude, you're blowing my mind and making me feel like a moron simultaneously.
It's not clear. It's not fair for anyone to feel like a moron with this.
Listen, I can. I'm not saying everyone who's having the same revelation I have should feel like a moron, but I personally am feeling a bit moronish. Because dude, once you point that out, that seems so obvious. Hold on, more level 16 mortality. I'm not joking. This is not a bit. I am actually going to, because I know I'm going to get into a Malthael game later, and I'm going to go, what was that build that Kyle was talking about? Crap, I don't remember. However, look at this. Level 16. Let's see. I currently have Hot Slog set to the most recent patch. Level 16. Soul Collector. That's what 46% of Malthaels out there are taken according to Hot Slog's Storm League stats. 49.9% win rate. It's inching towards that 50%. Mortality at 16. Picked 35% of the time. So a strong contender, a strong second place for talent popularity. 56% win rate.
Yeah. So pretty decent jump there.
Yeah.
A lot of it, the rest of it's really optional. Of course, when you have something like Massacre that applies the Reaper's Mark everywhere, you just never do Tormented Souls, because why would you?
Mhm.
And at level 4, there was a really interesting comment. In fact, the win percentage here at 54% being the highest win rate talent for level 4. Throwing Shade actually puts your Death Shroud with increased range, reduced cooldown into interrupt every channel territory. So you can literally stand on the edge of Cursed Hollow at safety, firing over a wall. The shroud that hits, they try to channel again, it's ready yet again, hits.
You're reading my mind right now, because I was gonna ask, like, it feels like taking die alone is pointless if you're suddenly dishing out even more Reaper's Marks, but with Massacre. It's like, what, you're not going to be getting the die alone bonus, because you're not going to be hitting one hero, because you're now even better at handing out marks.
Well, to an extent, right? So throwing Shade is the go-to whenever there's a channeled objective. So Cursed Hollow,
Towers of Doom.
Blackheart's Bay. Oh yeah, Towers of Doom.
Towers of Doom.
Yeah,
Garden of Terror. Anything with the channel. There's a lot of things with the channel. You're not doing so hot on Dragonshire. What else can we come up with, Kyle?
Yeah, right. Because they were on the dragon, so it's not like a positive kind of thing. Yeah. So, but die alone is still the primary pick here, because you're warring in the lane at this level 4 phase still, and once you go in, usually everyone disperses, and you're kind of doing the cheetah thing, where you like run at the whole herd, and then you like find the weak one and try to take them down.
All right, this makes me want to go in, because Throwing Shade, much higher win rate than die alone, but not taking nearly as much. But it makes me think that maybe the Malthaels out there know when they should be taking it, and they're doing exactly what you're saying, and they're only taking it on maps with the channel, and they're avoiding it on other maps. So I wonder. So let's go on to, what do we say? Towers of Doom. Let's look at Towers of Doom real quick. Throwing Shade. I'm gonna need to grab another patch. Not a lot of people. Not a lot of games.
Well, I mean, we can fire it off a little bit here. One of the primary conversations around town, around Heroesburg right now, is the mismatch bug. Two, the patch thing that still downloads every time you want to play Heroes. I guess there's a 3. Apparently, there's a bug where Starcraft people just can't even log into their NA accounts at all right now, which is probably stressing what we previously knew as the classics game department. But 4 is that everyone really, really wants the NGS/CCL map pool. There are so many tournament players that are just saying, if I end up on Warhead Junction or whatever's not in the proper rotations, it's a wash for me. Like, just pick a tournament, match the maps to what we're playing in the tournament, so we can all use Storm League together.
I'm sympathetic, and yet, like, I get it, right? Because it's not an official tournament. It feels like CCL has the blessing, right? Like, somebody found the keys to the Hearthstone, the Heroes Esports channel, and have like been, to me, rogue tweeting, just like this is ours now.
I like the fantasy.
Yeah. No, dude, no. To me, Heroes of the Storm team, they're the Blizzard Resistance. Yeah, like a fun game-based resistance, and not a really serious one having to do with the actual, like, real problems the Blizzard's been dealing with. But that's a tough one. I mean, they weren't the best about it during HGC though either, were they?
No, they weren't.
It's been a while since I had to think about that.
But during that time, it seemed like they were mired in approval processes. Like, every time they wanted to do a meme tweet or have some fun, it like had to go through a couple of hands to get approved. Because every time they made a joke tweet, it was always like a little too late, you know? Now, if you see something like, particularly the Diablo Twitter, it's just constantly being weird, constantly being memey.
They've been, listen, I think, Blizzard as a whole is having a little bit of a, like, they're soul searching.
And I feel personality like, crisis for sure,
to a certain degree, but also, like, I don't know, I think they maybe feel a little bit of a sense of liberation too. It's like, hey, we kind of get a chance to reinvent ourselves, experiment, and see what we want our our voice to be, and it's like whatever. It's from a marketing aspect. I don't think anyone's getting the wool pulled over their eyes that when you're being cheeky on an official brand account that it's not an intentional marketing effort, right? But like
right.
Doesn't mean it needs to be boring and soulless and cold. So I've been enjoying that stuff. I think whoever's like the people in charge of Blizzard social media, I think they've been doing a good job. I think it's been fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been weird, right? Like it's been strange. There's so much drama with Blizzard, but with the news of Microsoft, I get a sense from the community as a whole. It feels like we're back on an upswing. So I don't know. I think to a certain degree it was freeing for at least marketing strategy.
Was this about maps? How did we get here?
I don't know. You mentioned how they're having fun on social media. You mentioned maps, and I was like, well, it's not officially endorsed by Blizzard in any way.
Right,
but the Twitter account for Heroes Esports has been promoting CCL, so that's how we got there.
Okay.
But yeah, we're talking about maps. At the same time, though, like, listen to your community, right? Like I'm not saying you should always. I'm not saying you should always just like, the community wants this, let's make it so. But I like Warhead Junction. I have no defense whatsoever. I don't think it needs to be in the map pool.
I like the variety it brings to draft because sometimes I pick like Ragnaros and kind of get weird, or a double soak Nazebo, and I've had a lot of fun there. Actually, this is counterintuitive to kind of what you would believe with Malthael, but Warhead Junction is actually his highest win rate map according to our statistics. And someone might go, well, but on a pale horse, which is interesting because it's a highly gankable map with heavy rotation, ideally. So maybe we need to like sort by league and kind of narrow that down, because that's Malthael's biggest problem in the world is just raw ganks.
Yeah. I had a Zeratul that made my life hell on my Illidan yesterday. The guy just showed up every time I didn't want him to. I was doing my best to keep an eye on the minimap, but it wasn't good enough.
Well, he does, go invisible and stuff. So
this dude, he was coming from my side of the map. That's how I just went in to like get some orbs, and I come back and I see as if he left my gate, just coming in that straight of trajectory. Like,
oh wow,
completely surprised me. Like, how are you there? Sorry, I just had to go off on that little rant. That Zeratul made me very angry. We won the game, but I feel like I lost a personal war.
I mean, I'm losing alignment points in NGS. Porky and I have a strategy, which is just he plays Zeratul and I do Brightwing, and every time he goes to gank somebody, I teleport in, whether he needs a heal or not, and we just polymorph with the Zeratul, and it's always a two-man person thing,
That's evil.
It is. It's easy to do, and it feels bad. Because I've been solo lane before for a very long time. I know the pain. If
you experience a surmountable inconvenience in the near future, like you get a flat tire or something, just know in the back of your mind, I want you to think of my voice going, karma.
Oh yeah, no, like knock on wood here, but it's gonna be one of those bolts too, like not even like something sharp.
In the after show, remind me to tell you about almost giving myself a hernia trying to patch Katie's tire recently.
You tried to do it yourself? Oh man.
Sometimes I do it myself, and in this case, I was feeling up to the task. I was not. I was not. But
so anyway, we were looking at maps for Malthael, and we just don't have a lot of data here to go off of. But that channel objective thing is a interesting note. Otherwise, it's purely what talents suit you best outside of the required massacre business.
I'm excited to play.
Yeah, you enjoy that.
Yeah.
You enjoy that.
Yeah, rad, man. Well, let's take a second here before I pick your brain about some interesting draft decisions in your NGS games I wanted to ask you about. But I want to just take a moment here and thank our patrons for supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. And just say we really freaking appreciate it, everybody. As we've mentioned recently, like this show is about as long in the tooth as a show can get. And, Here's the Storm is not the new hotness, but is a game that Kyle and I still very much enjoy playing. and discussing. So thank you for the support. You don't need to, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah, is an opt-in way to support this legacy awesome show we enjoy doing for you all. It is a pleasure to play Heroes of the Storm and get to talk about it here. I always have a moment in my life, and I certainly love to come on the air here. We have fallen below our paid guest goal, and we love getting to help finance this community, help independent streamers, content creators, people working for the CCL come on our show and make sure their time is spent well, rewarded, and covered. So head on over to patreon.com/ITN and help get us back above that goal. We'd love to continue to supply you with awesome guests into the future.
Getting to pay guests for their time is like still one of the absolute coolest things that has happened as a result of the support of this show. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. We know the game's old. We get it. Also, It's right after the holidays. Valentine's just happened. This is always the worst time of the year.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, for crowdfunded ventures. So if you're still in there kicking, supporting us, thank you so very much. Check it out, patreon.com/ITN. Get yourself into that Discord. Join us for our monthly game nights, and we'll be doing one next week. We're going to be doing it on a different day. We're going to be recording next week on Wednesday, so we'll be getting into the Nexus a day earlier than usual next week. And we're also going to be doing our Patron Bonanza that night. So Wednesday, February 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be getting together and doing our monthly game nights. The sign-up sheet should be up, so check it out, patreon.com/ITN. All right, let's talk NGS, Kyle, because you had a good week.
We did. It was nice. It was encouraging for the work we've put in, getting our shot calls together. And something that happened this week too was the team was kind of talking in the background a bit about just the lack of comms and conversation. And something I was doing was making space, just not saying anything as support, assuming I would be reactionary. But that is not the case because that's one more person confirming their target. So what you kind of want is this like triangulation to happen. I guess it's between 4 people, so it's a quadulation?
And you're the fifth. Let's not think about it too much.
Yeah, no, but we're not 5. Like the 4 man is kind of what's doing it here. The rotating or double soaking bruiser or solo laner is very much in their own space, and they're thinking about how they can join and participate in the thing that's being cooked. And they might throw out, I'm on my way, and that sort of stuff. But what you want is the tank saying, Rainer, Rainer, Rainer. And you want the assassin saying, Junkrat. And then you got the other assassin saying, Anduin. And then you got the support. And kind of in that way, the support then says, Rainer, Rainer. And then 2 people are saying, Rainer, Rainer. And it's just one more voice in there that can start to actually make a target call happen. And that's kind of where we finally settled last night. We found this awareness and this communication that allowed us to just say enough to make sure we're targeting the same thing.
That's interesting because I always think about interviewing like that. Like one of the biggest skills about interviewing is knowing when not to talk.
As exampled right there.
Right. Like so I find that crossover really interesting. I hadn't thought about it from. It makes all the sense in the world when you lay it out like that, but I hadn't really thought about it as like the value of shutting up.
Well, and oftentimes in many different teams, there's different structures. There is certainly what we've heard as the kind of galaxy-brained player that is doing the macro and doing the micro and getting the tank to stand where they need to go, and they're always in their head and they have a full picture of the game. That's extremely rare, and it's also rare that you have 4 other people who would let them be, that mastermindy. We also hear more of a democracy system where all 5 players are shot callers in a sense, and you have to find, and it takes a really long time, find that coordination. I remember Dunk Train talking to us about this, where you're eventually going to listen to the ideas that is best in the room. There's 5 ideas all at once, and together you need to pick which one and do it very fast. So a boss call, a camp call, whatever it may be, everyone has to decide. we have basically two macro shot callers, Cavalier Guest off in the solo, and Porky with us in the 4-man. And then we've got Mockery, who is kind of the kill target. And certainly, the Ray stance, the heart of the Ghostbusters, kind of like just we're vibing, no worries, we're vibing, just we're scaling, all this kind of fun stuff that you get with that. And I ended up just being way too quiet in the support role. So we found that we are now kind of moving towards something that actually is effective.
That's really cool. It's cool to hear about how you're honing it, like slowly kind of chipping away, whatever type of analogy you would like here. That's really neat. Not as neat as some of your drafts and bans, though.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm on game 2. Let me go back to game 1. So game 1, Towers of Doom. First of all, the cool thing here is looks like you had Kai healing for you because you're usually healing this season, yeah?
Right. So Cavalier Guest was running late, so Kai Berries was brought in. And thank goodness we registered subs, so we weren't, calling you last minute and having to make you do paperwork and stuff like that. We have a plan this season, so we ended up getting Kai in there.
Maybe you should have me do that just in case, by the way.
I've realized after the fact, we should probably just put you on the roster. Plus, it's really confusing to the enemy because they look at a roster of like 9 people and they're like, "Who's gonna play tonight? How do we prepare?"
Oh, you play mind games and you're like, we have everyone's a flake. We don't know
exactly who will show up.
Yeah. But what particularly, there's quite a few things that interest me here. But it's Towers of Doom. You got to play Yrel. You already kind of mentioned that. When I was looking through your games and looking through your picks, I was like, oh man, I haven't seen. I just mentioned last week when we were going through the patch that when I see Yrel, I usually think you, but when I actually stop to think about it, I can't remember the last time I saw you play the damn hero. So, you won. I'm assuming it went well. Have you been playing Yrel again? Or are you hiding things from me? Is what I'm.
Good God,
wondering.
no.
Are you in the pantry sneaking chips when we're both supposed to be on a diet?
I was really impressed with myself, honestly. I have not played Yrel in a long, long while. Luckily, though, it was double soak Yrel, which isn't Holy Avenger. So at level 7, Yrel gets an option of hitting an enemy hero with Avenging Wrath and maximum charge, deals 25% more damage, and reduces its cooldown by 1 second. So this is the Mario mode. This is the one where you have to actually be practicing because you have to aim. Double soak, though, you do Divine Steed and Hand of Freedom, and you just kind of run around in circles and jump in, and then you hit all your buttons in different orders. I did not take any advantage at all of the newly upgraded heroic gives you an instant use of divine purpose. I popped my ult maybe once in this whole game because that's how survivability ults go. And I did not make a sweet move with a double divine purpose thing.
Gotcha. Well, Brad, man, good on you. I think you play enough draft games, you're gonna find yourself in that situation where the stars align, and you're like, oh, it's this thing. It's this callback to my past. And it's the right time for it. I'm not sure if I can do it, but then, you get in game and it just all comes back to you.
Yeah. So this was because the enemy first picked Junkrat that we were able to go Yrel because we knew on Towers of Doom we were going to need a double soaker that was able to remove traps and soak them in some way. So Deathwing on a different map would have been vastly preferable. In fact, I was hovering it at this point, but Deathwing double soak, not really a thing. Can't travel between the lanes very well. But if you had a really dedicated solo lane, then Deathwing, when he shows up, he just walks over every trap. And yeah, he's taking damage, but just remove them all. No silences. Deal with the whole business. It's great. So Yrel gets Hand of Freedom that can remove roots. Eventually, you have to deal with the silence, but at least a beefy character who is accustomed to eating the roots is eating the roots.
Gotcha. Is Maiev just a normal pick for Porky and I'm unaware of this?
Yeah, he likes it a lot. He's a really, really big fan of the Maiev. Maiev, in a previous update, got a bacon level unlock, the likes of, Muradin and now Diablo. At level 20, Maiev gets 2 charges of Volt of the Warden. So into certain scenarios like Kael'thas Pyroblast, you can spend the whole game doing this bait and switch. You're like, Pyroblast. And he's like, no, not until you Volt. Pyroblast, not until you Volt. And then at level 20, you now have 2, and you're basically immune to Pyroblast. So the same sort of thing here with Rocket Ride, or Rocket Ride not so much because you leave the bomb. So you kind of travel, but it can be dangerous. You can also teleport midair, possibly. I'm not really sure. Not a big Maya player. But that 2 charges allows you to deal with mages really, really well.
That's very cool. All right, now you need to explain yourself, because why in God's name did you ban Varian?
I don't know this one.
This is like my biggest head scratcher. I'm like, Johanna, okay. Rhaegar, okay. Varian. I thought it might have been a counter pick. Like maybe someone over there just loves Varian. Or so that the Junkrat was first pick.
My guess would be Porky was the banner for this one, and I'm assuming it's entirely personal that Maev likely struggles in a Varian taunt situation.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's a way to. It's kind of the opposite of why Maev is good into Pyroblast. It's kind of why she would be probably having a hard time against Varian. Okay.
Yeah, short cooldown, probably shorter than the Volt, I would assume. They ended up going May here, which is a really good counter pick they brought up to Anubarak, because when you get webbed, it stops everybody from just like, partying around the Rev, gathering for cake, like it's just, you go, oh, big blizzard, call the blizzard. I know, but Jane and stuff, big snowstorm here. Don't hang out, deny this area. It deals a little bit of damage, gets them out of the cocoon, and you have a sort of safety net.
Yeah. Did it feel like it was effective, or did it feel like they were too reactionary to you, and that's what led to your win?
Well, I was solo lane for this, so
it sounds like getting stories from me. That's what that sounds like.
I showed up.
All right.
And it was a really, really solid draft for Urella in this way. It's something that comes up a lot in my conversations with tournament players for the CCL interviews. Is they have a lot of love for certain characters. It's just, can you maintain the practice time? And Malthael as well is one of those that you might be great at, but the situations where he would shine are so few that it's often letting him kind of rot on the side. Whereas in the other sort of way, you have extreme resume building characters like Junkrat or Medivh. That is a full blown like top of your resume. It's always going to get banned, but it eats a ban, and if you get to play it, people hate playing against it, so it's going to eat a ban the next game. Oftentimes, you're thinking about that stuff when you're looking for a CCL proper team.
Okay, all right. So this bleeds into the next game, but also involves your first game on the enemy side. Is Blaze just in vogue?
Blaze is in vogue. A lot of this is about follow-up potential. Because Blaze is not going to hit, and this is Nexus Division, which is below Storm Division, but it's like plat through solo queue Grandmasters, if you want to put it that way. It's not going to be as heavy coordinated.
Gotcha. Blaze, that would also explain the variant if you're talking about follow-up potential.
Yeah. So Blaze here in this particular instance pauses when he goes inside of the Void Prison.
Wait,
so
bunker?
No. A Void Prison. Like if Zeratul puts out a Void Prison, people are caught inside of it, and Blaze goes and fires into it and is frozen in time. But that means the second it's over, that stun will hit.
Oh, I see what you're saying. By the way, this happened to me on Hunt Illidan for the first time last night. I went to go.
Oh, where you hunted
in that game with that Zeratul.
Yeah.
I went to go hunt. I think it was the Zeratul. And I got stuck in the Void Prison, and it completes. It had never happened to me before. So I was like, I'm pretty sure this is going to complete, but I'm not sure. And then, of course, dude was all the way back by his core. I got out with my life, but it was sketch.
Oh, wait, hang on. You charged the Zeratul, and it time stopped, and then he moved, and you redirected?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess that would happen.
Yeah. So I was mid-hunt, hit the Void Prison. He blinked and ran back to touch his well. So he's in range of his his keep now. And when the freaking Void Prison ends, I just run all the way to the keep. I'm just like, get me out of here.
Oh my.
Yeah. It was luckily my team there was an Artanis as well. They were chasing the Artanis down, so the Artanis was escaping back to the keep, so there was enough noise going on that I escaped with my life. But it's the first time I've probably logged like 30, 40 Illidan games recently, and it's the first time this has come up.
That is an interesting interaction. What is extremely badass, but sadly, I can't think of a time it happens on another character, is that if Sonya leaps from above, she will actually slow-mo fall into the prison and continue to fall very slowly throughout the duration.
Will it land?
Yeah, you will still land the leap. But for some reason, Anubarax and Blazes and everyone who tries to like go in there and participate by charging like your Illidan gets full on paused on the side. Sonya jumping from above gets this like really awesome like double swords in the air like coming down.
I wonder if that's because it's a known quantity, whereas the charges could end sooner or go further depending on what's at the end of it. Like the hunt, obviously, because it just leashes you to your target, right? So I wonder if that has something to do with it. But with Sonya, there's a point B, and the point B never changes, and I wonder if that's why. Or if it's just one of those weird things we don't understand about just how they coded the animation.
Right. I mean, it might just be a mess. And for some reason, Leap Sonya, by nature of going up in the air, and maybe she even becomes a missile, as we've heard some characters do.
Oh, that could be it. That could be it. Hey, if anyone from the Heroes team is listening and you know why this happens, we would love to know.
Yeah. I mean, sadly, the summons on Zagara don't get paused because they're not summons anymore. But there have been some cool interactions with Void Prison past. So Blaze right now with May, with really whoever you can get that does a grab 'em effect. Blaze is an amazing follow up to that, and Blaze also has some really really powerful like anti spell or anti auto attack talents that can really help manage the team. Uh, because his effect is persistent on the ground, he can be a really good counter, sort of, to Brightwing cleanses with your Soothing Mist or your Malfurion cleanse version, where it just removes the current effect but doesn't cleanse you and make you unstoppable. So you're in the slow, and the slow can be really, really slow because of talents. Those heroes have no effect.
Fascinating stuff. All right. I have another head scratcher of a ban I'm unsure of.
Okay.
So it's Tomb of the Spider Queen, game 2. Do you just really hate Entomb in like the hallways? Is that why Leo got banned?
The Entomb, so a really huge combo right now. And let's actually take a look at some statistics here. Hanzos are becoming dragons because they're both called dragons. Dragon Strike. So we all think of Hanzo as Dragon Arrow, NA Arrow, big stun, all that sort of thing.
Yeah, you mentioned this came up last week,
right?
But this is trickled all the way down to quick match, dude. I'm seeing Dragon Strike everywhere.
So Dragon Strike is empowered by Entomb, because you're going to put people in a cage and then shoot big old damage across them, and the damage is really, really high. So with a chance of catch, like a Nazebo, May, Leap, Anduin, Root, you have all these a little more. Well, I guess let's remove the Leap from that. That's not fair. The Root, the Zombie Walls, the May, these are all low cooldown abilities that can get a hold of somebody. And then if you put a long cooldown Entomb on top of it, you can say, Hanzo, rip it. It's now worth it. We're going to hold this person in the cage for long enough, and this will get a kill.
Very cool. Okay. Gotcha. So that explains that. And you all didn't have the Hanzo in this game. The opposing team got it.
Yep. They, I believe, first picked it away.
Yep. I see you are still. Oh, no, that's not you. You're back to healing on this one. You're Brightway. I saw Sylvanas. I'm like, I know who Kyle is. No,
I'd love to be
don't
Sylvanas,
know who Kyle is.
No, I'm on the Brightwing here, and I'm getting okay at it. Like I said, a lot of this is kind of that coordination gank, and that kind of keeps us ahead a lot of the time. Mostly, I'm using Magic Spit combined with Critical Miss, because if my Critical Miss stink. At least I did some healing with it too.
Okay.
And magic spit with that range attack increase, with the more soothing mist, with the more hyper shifting. It just gives me a lot of tools to play with that can add to burst healing with the blink heal. Because we're doing this teleport in on Zeratul thing, we're not doing the shield talent for hyper shift. We're not phase shifting in giving shields because he's already at full health when I go in. Which shields would be on top of, but we're like trying to do this like critical miss thing. So it's a balance I'm finding is a little difficult.
Well, I mean, you found your success this week.
Yeah, no, it's good there. I look forward to getting to play. Right now, it's like all Anduin Brightwing, and the Brightwing is so often used not because I'm amazing at it. I'm a way better Anduin. It's more just because it is such a high chance of deny. Like it's a resume one, very much so in that way. Like enemy team, highly likely at some point in somebody's support career, they fell in love with Brightwing.
You don't need to explain loving Brightwing to me.
But I really like Anduin. I talked about it last week with the, Chihuahua Orthia, like I really like the potential that it gives for somebody to really go all out, get themselves in trouble and get out.
Oh, dude, yeah. Every time we mention Anduin, I'm like, why do I not gravitate more towards Anduin more often? Because every time we have a game night with listeners, I feel like the last like 3, I've ended up on Anduin on an ARAM, and I always have a good time, and I always feel impactful, and it's a lot of fun, especially after getting Deckard last time. I'm like, man, Anduin's great. As far as fun to play, I know some people really love Deckard. For me, it's a little fire and hope, but we got we got some missile movement explanation from from a dev in chat.
Oh, excellent.
I don't know if they want to be mentioned in the podcast proper or not. That's why I'm being coy.
Okay.
But saying it's the way movers work. You can't stop a missile without having some bad interactions. So if the missile happens to be a player character, then it could get ugly. So units fired as missiles get their time scale slowed to 0.01 instead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds like it was a creative solution, but like the end result is really cool.
Yeah. So she is a missile, spell effect kind of thing, and that's neat. That's neat. It's giving me like Photoshop or Premiere flashbacks when you have to do some weird stuff in order to like cover up an edit. So yeah, very much so.
Oh, very much so. Anyone who took a look at my Premiere files would be like, "You cheater!"
Yeah.
I know I can do way better animations in After Effects, but I just don't want to leave Premiere because I'm lazy, so I just keyframe it in Premiere.
That's really cool. So does that mean Flying Falstad is not? Wait, the Leaping Sonya still receives tower shots, and so does Falstad. Because you got like the true missile that is Genji, I believe, like ceases to exist on his travel.
Whoa. Okay, yeah. Now they're saying we had a version of Void Prison way back in the day that would slow any missile passing through it, like a Diablo 3 Sorcerer time stop.
Oh, so cool.
But it was more trouble than it was worth. Yeah, I can see that. I can totally. Oh, that does sound really rad.
It would be so powerful too, with like the release of Li Ming lining up all your magic missiles and your orb like sitting on the side time stop. It's such a badass thing in Diablo, but then you've got like a Kael'thas flame strike under it, and you go, does this stop as part of the ground?
Because it's not a missile, right?
Right.
But it's this thing that was like fired off, and that's interesting. Well, now
like
I want the whole thing to have the 0-1 movement, and I want like a speed ramp in and a speed ramp out, so it just looks like badass fight scenes from 300.
Ooh, that'd be cool if like you were if Haymaker Murd haymakers you as the Void Prison goes up, you have a very small chance of making it to the edge and flying out full speed. That would be awesome.
That sounds rad. Well, any closing thoughts on your successful week of NGS before we move on?
No. I mean, great great battle with the enemy team. It was great getting to do it. I really got a shout out too. I didn't talk about it much here because he's leading the charge. Crushinator leading the way. I know he's been doing a lot of replay reviews and getting up to snuff and really giving it his all, and I really appreciate that. So it's cool to see the whole team come together.
That's awesome. It's so rad having followed Crush on Twitter for so long, like seeing him tweet about y'all's games, and I'm just like, yeah, hell yeah, Crush, you go, you do it. So that's really rad. Well, good luck, dude. I'm stoked for you. It seems like you've really honed in on like a successful team dynamic, and it's such a fascinating part of organized play that, you know, is a relatively new thing that you get to talk about. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, considering this, we've been doing this podcast since 2014.
But game times, NGS, please, game times, do it. Just make times that people play. It is like herding cats. You've played D&D. Now get ready for 2 teams of D&D having to match schedules. Like, it can get really messy trying to get together with the enemy team while being fluid with work schedules and all that sort of thing. It would be absolutely amazing if NGS was like, games are played at 7 p.m. Pacific to 9. And that's what happens. And just don't sign up if you can't do that. I know I just said my schedule. But you can, like, it'd be nice.
Okay, had you not outed yourself, nobody would have noticed except for your teammates.
Sure. But yeah, it'd just be beautiful. It'd be beautiful.
Kyle, dear listeners, by the way, Kyle today, we talked before the show, and he said that exact thing, that it's like trying to coordinate 2 D&D groups that have to meet at the same time. And I made the sound as if I had just experienced physical pain. I was just like, it was, yeah. I think you're gonna hit a lot of people in a emotional. A lot of people are gonna experience emotional damage listening to that analogy. So
yeah, no, I absolutely understand. I've been, you know, back when I worked as a barista, like I didn't even know my schedule next week till Sunday. Like, and that's part of the next week too. Like,
I used to catch so much shit from the manager of the pet store that I worked at in Los Angeles for always taking Friday nights off for raid. And I was like, everybody else has like their day off for the shit that they do. This is the shit I do. Like, can we just be cool about it? Or
I just like didn't respect
shame me
it
for getting joy out of gaming.
That's sad. That's like you need a good excuse to take time off. Like, it has to be a good reason.
Yeah.
It can't just be I hope generationally.
That was I'm just now putting this together way too long after the fact that was strange because she was in a long-term relationship with someone that worked at Activision, and that was the dude that got me the Starcraft beta key that made us start podcasting together. So you would have thought, you know, maybe a little more sympathetic to the gaming cause. I don't know. Maybe it was a giant point of contention. Now I'm psychoanalyzing this manager from years ago. I'm just going to stop. This is unhealthy.
It could be.
This is where madness lies.
There's plenty of people who enjoy each other and have completely different hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, Katie's really not in the game. She's got like her little. She loves Zelda, and every few years she gets the MMO itch, and that's kind of it. So. Yeah. And everyone's always like, oh, how does that work? I'm like, well, we literally love all the other same things. Same music, same movies. We're really into cocktails. We're really into cars. Like, the games being this one thing that we don't really do together, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I guess mine would be, who's the writer with all the Jane Austen, right? With all the white dresses and going to people's houses. Yeah.
Jane Austen, is that something you enjoy that Kristen doesn't, or vice versa?
No. I'm just not into that, and Kristen loves it. Like, I have trouble sitting through a show that's like, oh, you walked in. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, is this like old Victorian England stuff? Like lots of ruffled collars?
Yeah, but you know, decorum and
Okay. I like that
parties.
When there's vampires.
Yes, just take that and make it fantasy and put it in traffic that works for me.
I like that when Anne Rice writes it. That's what I like.
No, but otherwise, it's like, hang on, let me go take some motion sickness pills, and I'll watch you play Doom. Like, that's not a diss on like her aiming either. She's way better at shooters than me.
No, I know, I do. No,
diss
yeah.
on me.
It's been a long time since I had to drive you anywhere, but I believe you had to go, hey man, just so you know, I get mad motion sick.
Yeah, no, I'm a weakling when it comes to that stuff. Thank goodness for top-down games.
It's good stuff. Oh, and okay. I'm starting to understand why I can never get you to play battle royales with me.
That's a lot of spinning. Yeah. Okay. MMOs are a little more like, I'm gonna camp here for 30 seconds and kind of set up my camera and like move minimally. But yeah, watching my six is not not high on my to-do list.
Now you just want to make me play The Division because it's the only game I ever played where we legitimately talked like that. But anyway.
This is why I always play turret characters, because I set up the turret, then I go stare at my turret like a security cam, and once it gets attacked, then I can know where they are. Like, I'm a camper.
Hey, it's a legitimate strategy. Anyways, shall we take some emails?
Yes.
Darkness stopped calling.
Does anyone else hear that buzzing?
Hold on. Darkness just texted me.
You can send your emails to itncast@gmail.com. If you're supporting us on Patreon, just drop us a message in the Patreon-only Discord. You've got access to it. If you're not in it, head on over to patreon.com/ITN and attach your Discord information to your Patreon account, and you'll just be whisked away into it. It's great. It's great. De La Soak did just that. Wrote us in the Discord and said, hey, remember how E-Build Stukov had fallen out of favor until several talents were combined and maybe overtuned just a wee bit? What about May's Q build? In most levels of play, it's the worst build and certainly makes an already awkward tank more awkward. Even in places in Storm League where it's doing fine, her level 1 Q talent Heavy Pack still performs poorly. At the risk of making Q build overtuned, how would you fix it? What talents would you move around, combine, or tune up? I think you're grossly overestimating my familiarity with May.
Okay, so this is the snowball that blinds. This is the much you must aim it and not just point it generally at them like a flashlight on Johanna.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Storm League and I'm gonna look at patches from the last two. Yeah, Heavy Pack not doing great.
No.
Even worse than Storm League. Quick match, it's getting close to heat transfer, but that's interesting. Heat transfer, Ice Storm has the highest win rate, but most people are taking heat transfer. Sorry, I haven't looked at May win rates in a long time.
As you shouldn't. It's not a terribly popular hero. It's a great tool for these denial or reactionary kind of setup things like we talked about with the Zero tool today or the Cocoon. But oftentimes she's going to be a very late pick, and our current early picks would be Diablo based on map, Muradin, and certainly Johanna. Otherwise, things get kind of weird, and mid pick we like Varian or Nubarak. Anyway, May being a late pick often means that you are sometimes recovering at level 1 here with Ice Storm, which gives you a little bit of lane clear. And most of us are still going heat transfer as it was the week May came out because that's the survivability talent. I do think that there is a lot of fun to be had with a slush ball, disabling structures kind of thing, and getting the 2 charges of it. But it's just not on the right person as the tank, particularly one with survivability, right? Because oftentimes Stitches, Anubrak being the best one because he has the Beetles, will lead you in and go, hey, I'm here, I'm getting hit, take out this building. So you're kind of building her to be good at what she can do passively. Because if that building's mad at you, you can just pop your cryo freeze, survive, and the building's going to go down. So why disable it?
That's a good point. I don't hate the idea of just kind of taking a look at Heavy Pack though, because it does seem so delightfully active. Like and engaging, and it makes you it should be more impactful, right? Because like you're increasing the duration of the slow, so that should feel good. You should feel like you want to take this. Cooldown reduction is always nice too.
it's gotten some like baked togethers over time. I think ultimately what's going to be the problem here is imagine you're fighting a Tychus and you took May to counter that. So you throw a blind at him, a snowball, and he goes, ah, my minigun. And then you put him in a stun with your blizzard. And as that cooldown reduces, he comes out the other side and you blind him again. There is very, very little chance that Tychus, Vala, Raynor, any of these heroes who have just been stunned are going to be like, I'm unstunned. Time to 1v1 stand here. Like, I'm going to plant my feet where everyone is looking at me. I'm not going to vault. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to reposition first. And the blind just does a lot of nothing in that case. And we've been kind of out of a blind meta. The only reason Johanna's big is because blind became damage.
Yeah, but then if you think about it in a team fight aspect and you're not necessarily using the snowblind on the same target as you are stunning, like, and you're just getting effectively more blinds out, I don't know. I think there's still some value there.
And I think that's where you get into the Malthael, your rel-like situation of May is often a particular draft pick for a particular scenario, and we're not chain firing snowballs because we're just not that good. Compared to Heat Transfer, basic attacks against stun-rooted, slowed heroes deal 33% more damage, and each time May stuns or slows an enemy hero, she heals. That is just raw tank survivability, easy to play. And frankly, Snowball with its kind of, not that the arc matters in a top-down because you're clicking right where you want to, but it does have a travel time and a relatively small area compared to Johanna's Blind.
I think it's a good assessment.
So, as to like, I think we got to get rid of is a really cute ability, this Snowblind, getting rid of buildings, disabling them for a time. I think that's an adorable idea. I think you can even kind of fancy up and like the building's frozen, and that's cute too. I just don't think it's on the right role in this case. And can we take that idea with the 2 charges? And that 2 charges comes online at 16 when buildings are often being taken out by objectives rather than heroes at this point.
Yeah.
So let's like rework all that and rethink Snowball, and maybe something like the big one here should lead the way. At level 20, you have every 15 seconds the next Snowblind you cast has its area increased by 67% and deals 200% increased damage. Like maybe that would be kind of cute actually. Like she's making snowballs. Like they the longer you'd go without casting it, the bigger it is, because right now it's just hard to hit. And so I'm not going to invest in talents that aren't doing my primary job, and I have a chance of missing.
Yeah. Apocalypse is bringing up a good point, too, though, that if you look at the popular builds, the full Q build is doing a lot better than looking at individual Q build talents by themselves.
That is true. And that could just be a coordinated sort of business. Like, oh, let's turn off some buildings, everybody, and get in there and get wild.
Yeah, or I mean, it could help you like clinch games where you weren't doing that well in the first place. So, like if you're in games where there are still buildings up, it's a nice boon.
Yeah, in that case, we would see Fresh Powder having the higher win rate because we're getting much, much later in the game. But instead, Black Ice, which is more the gank talent, making opportunities, is actually higher, and that makes sense. You gotta get that gank to get back in the game. Once you have that opportunity to go rush core, do you really need the building turn off? But that's a really interesting comment about the whole Q build performing decently well.
Yeah, forest for the trees type of situation. De La Soak, I don't think your intention was to sell us on Q build as it stands, but I think that might be where we're landing.
Yeah, maybe.
In certain situations, for sure. For sure.
I think
Lodvar saying that's Grubby's preferred.
I think if we're talking like the power pie here, you can cut a lot of this out. And the whole Snowblind build could be a lot more damaging, interesting, wacky, but they might be held hostage by this building disable at the moment.
It's one of those, I don't know. You can still tweak how long it's disabled for, right? So it's not as difficult to design around as, what were we talking about last week that was essentially a binary? Oh, Stukov's silence.
Oh man, it's been a long time since I've tested this too. I don't remember. Maybe the chat can help me out. When you disable a building, does it drop threat from the call for help update? Or does
I
it stay pissed off?
I
And
want to
remember.
say no, because I think I've gotten smacked once on Sylvanas and then disabled it, and then when it comes back up, I start getting smacked again.
Because if that's the case, then changing Slush Ball to just be a anti call for help talent would be interesting. Resets the building's threat.
We haven't really messed with that too much, have we?
Yeah.
And it is a relatively new addition to the game. That is something would be interesting to see them kind of intentionally introduce counters to. Be real cute too. Straight up dastardly. Excuse me, I have something in my eye and it is killing me.
I also think like a straight up, like opposed to cold front team fight and crystallized spell armor survivability, Slush Ball is a full investment in only enemy structures. So could we perhaps? There's a Dahaka talent they went through and messed with and caused the whole build to explode. That would be the Dark Swarm build, and I am thinking about. Well, actually, did it really happen that way?
I don't remember that at all.
So we did. So Enduring Swarm with the spell armor and the duration ended up combining with One Who Collects. Whenever Dark Swarm deals or deals damage. Wait, hang on. No, it was here. Okay. So I have my Dahaka memory a little wrong. Hero Stalker, they baked in. You get 1 essence every time Dark Swarm deals damage to a hero. So this caused infinite survivability to Dahaka, and there's a huge Dahaka outbreak, and we're still like in the tail end of it now. What they went through and tried, which was really interesting, was One Who Collect, increase essence collection from minions by 50%, also deals 40% more damage to mercenaries. But Dahaka still stinks in it, so nobody really cared. However, what if we took Slush Ball and we added this kind of element to it? Let's go to Slush Ball. It still disables buildings, but deals 40% more damage to monsters and mercenaries. Now you have a reason to use it that's not just enemy buildings. What that talent needs something you do while behind to be good. Because otherwise only ahead. Why else would you be in tower range?
This feels like it's a deeper conversation. Like, do we want to get into a debate about how should you make talents for when you're behind? Should you make talents for when you're ahead, or should all talents be well balanced?
It's true, and there is a choice here, and if there's a bad choice, in many situations, but it's performing well in the right situations, is it really a big deal? My point being here that is May's Q build held hostage by certain talents being overpowered in very particular situations, in which case we can smooth out that hill.
I'm still stuck in the land where I'm suddenly interested in Q build already.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
It's just not fun to play. It's what I get. It's ultimately what I get to is like heat transfer and doing these kind of auto attack things and reducing the cooldown of your slide and black ice and like being skating around, regenning all the time, storm in your aura kind of thing is way more fun than snowballs that I personally miss.
You know who also has a really boring queue is Johanna, and we're playing the crap out of her. So
that's true because it deals damage.
Fair. All right, Dom Scythe wrote in and has more suggestions for exciting broke. Is it exciting? Is it broken? I'll let you choose one, Kyle. Do you want to talk about Hogger, Tyrael, or Rexar?
Oh, well, let's do Rexar.
These talks always go wicked long. We definitely don't have time for 3 today.
Okay, all right. Well, so we'll save some.
We got more stuff in the hopper here. All right. Thank you, by the way. I thought if I was gonna try and get this down to a single one to talk about, and I chose Rexar, I would look biased.
Nah, it's all good.
I'll give you the $20 after the show. All right. Dom Scythe wants to know, does this sound exciting? Is it broken? Remove Bestial Wrath from Rexar 10 and make it unlock automatically at 10 for half value.
Okay.
Interesting.
But what's happening at 10?
Replace with freeze trap. Place a trap like Junkrat's trap, and when triggered, it ice blocks the hero hit for 3 seconds. The cooldown on this trap is 20 seconds, but if triggered, this cooldown is tripled. At 20, when it triggers, it releases a large AoE that slows nearby enemies for 50% for 3 seconds, and no longer triples when triggered. I mean, I'm just excited about getting Bestial Wrath at 10. You could just make me pick boars, and I would be happy.
That's an interesting comment, right? Like, you're going boars anyway, but you like Bestial Wrath, and now you have both. Why not?
I feel Dom Scythe here is trying to get me. They're trying to bait me into defending Junkrat traps, and I, for one, will not stand for it.
Okay. I feel like I'm being baited into the conversation of, but who would be the survivalist hunter? Like, he's a Beastmaster. Oh, no. Let's go off on a complete tangent about, what hero in the future would have this many traps.
Welcome to Heroes of the Storm. Sometimes the abilities don't perfectly match the fantasy.
It's true.
Why again? Case in point, Zul'jin, Probius. Although Probius is a big, everyone's got opinions. To me, it's not my probe. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting idea.
I mean, currently we are covering all the bases of a Warcraft 3 Rexar, or at least the Beastmaster unit from the multiplayer. You had Summon Bear, Summon Quill Beast, which is a little, tied into Stampede. So they combined Stampede, which used to be a horde of Thunder Lizards, Kodos, but no, I guess they're more like Stegosauruses, right? Thunder Lizards or something else.
Kodos are Kodos, and Thunder Lizards are like Stegosauruses that shoot lightning.
Yeah, classic. Anyway, so they combined the Quill Beast and the Stampede to make an ability, and then Summon Hawk became your pocket pigeon that you rocket at enemy people aggressively. I do like, though, that he's not a summoning hero in that way, because you're already controlling the bear. I'd rather not worry about my Zagara Hydralisk farting off, too.
Yeah.
As fun as it would be to be surrounded by animals.
I think if I divorce myself and my very angry opinions about Junkrat traps, I think this would excite a lot of players. I think
getting some more traps out there.
Yeah, I think getting some more traps out there would be exciting. I think a lot of players would be excited by this. I think a lot of Rexar players would be excited by this. I really don't want more traps that you can't interact with other than intentionally triggering them yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my thought there. Is it
I'm going through. Well, there's like obvious. I'm not even talking. I don't really care about troll concerns here. More so, I'm cautious if the ice block is ice block and they're full on invincible, which causes all sorts of issues with a target, dodging things or, not ending up getting killed in the first place. So it sounds like a risk in some regards.
I'm not sure it's broken. The fact that it functions like ice block is interesting, because you could intentionally jump in it to get out of a wombo.
Right. So you're kind of Chromie time stop, right? Like you personally use the stop to jump in there.
Okay.
Interesting thought.
I personally would not be excited, but I think this for most people would be exciting, and I don't think it would be broken. Maybe combined with Bestial Wrath, possibly. There's a lot of potential value there, but
yeah, but Bestial Wrath has a time duration, so you would want unleashing the boars because you would want to fight for the full. Like, so if you were controlling your Misha and you empowered her, and then you set off a trap, you'd actually lose Misha empowered time, and things get messy. So I think
if you're thinking about entirely personal value again, if you're thinking about a team fight, you're getting Bestial Wrath in addition to maybe being able to essentially web wrap somebody for a little bit.
And then you got a free 20, which I really, really like the idea of for Rexar, because his 20s are Unleash the Boar's route, boring, but very effective. But it's missing that that don't let Rexar get to 20 power that I feel like as a dedicated offlaner would be really, really fun for him.
Yeah, I still just 9.9 times out of 10 go Frenzy of Kalimdor.
The basic attacks deal more damage.
Yeah, you're Diadzul Jin, and like that sounds like a hand wave, but on such an effective solo laner, I like it. I think it's good. It's the second highest win rate. For some reason, Hardened Skin is the highest win rate, but like no one's taking it. So take that with a big grain of salt because it's not a lot of games to look at.
And maybe we got off the beaten path here a bit. I think Dom Scythe is 100% on the money here with Rexar's 10 being automatic at level 10. Like, I don't think that is OP or broken. Bestial Wrath currently does Misha's attack damage by 200% for 12 seconds. You cut that to 6
100%?
seconds. Yeah, 100% 6 seconds. Like, well, bye. You know, it'd be different math. But you know what I mean? Yeah, right? Like, it would be really... I don't think a window of Misha being damaging would send the hero into OP territory, and it would just sound cool and feel cool.
Yeah, and it wouldn't just make him ridiculously good at camping because it just gets it by default if it was a shorter duration.
Well, and look at how we deal with Odin, right? You just walk away. And so in this case, you'd be on Dragonshire, you'd go to the point, you'd see Misha there, and you're like, oh, well, this isn't happening anyway. And then Misha goes, and you're like, this definitely isn't happening for the next 6 seconds.
Yeah. I think it's exciting. I don't think it's broken. So
yeah.
Well done, Dom Scythe. Well done. Dadlon Ranger. We've been through this before.
You can enjoy it again. It's a good name.
Yes, yeah, it's great. Question: I'm playing NGS and getting better, but still frustrated by my Stormlink rank in bronze. B2 and B5 and S5. Is that bronze 2 and silver 5?
Yeah. So I'm playing NGS and getting better, but I'm still frustrated by my Stormlink rank.
Oh, between those two.
Silver 5. Yeah.
Should I really care about my Stormlink rank? I think instead of yes or no, I think I want to tell you I think it's unhealthy to care about your Stormlink rank, and I think it's unhelpful because you can't control it. It's not a unit. It shouldn't be a unit of measurement for your personal improvement because it isn't.
You also probably don't have the bandwidth to do both, and that's the reality that tournament players face. There are a lot of Diamond 5s in the CCL because they're scrimming. They do not have time for that.
That's a good way to put it, right? Like, and do you think you're on the level of CCL players? Most of us are not, and if a lot of them are D5, what are you in relation to them? And now translate that to you're playing in a organized league at whatever level you actually might be at, right? Like, where's your
Storm Division has tryouts, like an actual, like, you got to get in there and prove yourself because they can't go to a hero's profile page, look at your MMR on there, and say you now belong in X rank. You'd be ruining your balance.
Yeah.
So if it's something that, you know, you can cover your portrait, mine's currently covered too. Like, you know, I registered for NGS with a Masters Cassia account via, what was that, July 2021, because that's the information they took from me. I'm currently a D4 Stukov. You know, it's not the same. So in that way, I actually inflated and made my chances more difficult in NGS, and we fight harder teams. Now, granted, you know, Grandmaster, Mockery, and Porky and Cavalier Guest being on the team definitely have a large impact on that too, where we ended up. But now, if you have a bad Stormlink rank, you might even end up against easier opponents. That might be fun for you.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I mean, just in general, I think if you're trying to improve, you should focus on the things that you can control, which is personal factors, your own personal play. Not what rank you are, because that way madness lies. because
Yeah.
especially if you're solo queuing, there's so many other factors, including the players you're getting paired with. You might end up with a lot of Smurfs and catch a wave of quote unquote getting carried. It is not meant as a dig, but like you might end up in easier games because you ended up with on a wave of getting matched with higher quality teammates, and the opposite is true. Or you might just be slogging along with that standard kind of 50-50 a lot of us find ourselves with. So yeah, it's any game with ranks, like over analyzing your rank and looking to it as an indicator of your own personal progress is so unhelpful. Keep track of your games, keep track of your own win rate, and keep yourself honest. Like I realize, hi, I own Hot Slogs and we can keep track your games for you. I'm a little biased here, but you should. I don't care if it's pen and paper. Like, keep track of things so that you can go and look and like, am I just slamming games with a hero that I have a 40% win rate with? I would ask, why are you doing that? And I'm not saying you are. I don't know what your stats are, but keep an eye on the factors that you can control, which is your hero picks on certain maps, your hero picks into certain heroes, all of those sorts of things. Personal micro adjustments that you can make. Should you start watching the mini map more? Can you be stutter stepping better? Can you be landing more skill shots on whatever hero you're playing? All of these sorts of things are the things I think you should be hyper focusing on, because it's things that you can personally improve.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. There is no, it's always worth saying, but because people love to talk about stat websites and kind of poo-poo them, there is no errors when you use your own profile.
Yeah.
Because that's your information, and that is the most valuable thing you can do with any win rate website.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for the number one question I see batted around everywhere Haas has talked right now?
Okay.
All right. Corny wrote in. Good friend Corny wants to know, do you think there's a realistic chance Microsoft will reinvest in Heroes of the Storm?
I think so, but they do not have, and because they do not have that sort of thing on their roster, they have an opportunity to fill out their PC Game Pass with more, or even just the general. You still need the subscription. We kind of talked about in the past, and I danced around that. But free to play games are very, very big, like Lost Ark right now. And having options available to your players is a very, very good thing. I also saw a lot of talk about like people wondering whether or not Xbox is going to integrate WoW achievements and how inflated your account might seem in terms of points overall if that suddenly went live.
Oh boy, you will find no interest here. I can't tell you how much I do not care about achievement scores.
No,
I realize there are some people who are really into it, and I'm into it from a fun standpoint. The second people start using it as a badge of honor, I'm just like, we're not friends.
I mean, I really love my legendary Halo 1 account kind of thing. I love that I got all the puzzle pieces in Banjo-Kazooie. Like, I'll challenge myself. I don't need an external system telling me what to do and how to play. It's kind of how I end up with it.
Boy, Kyle, I can't wait you to show that to your grandchildren with the same energy that my grandfather showed me coin collections.
It's probably
That's
very
nice,
similar.
Grandpa. I'm going to go into the metaverse where we don't have legs.
I know, and I definitely sometimes think to myself, like, could I like only give a kid a PlayStation or an N64 while they're not wise enough that graphics are better elsewhere, and like get them to appreciate the classics?
Oh boy, dude, you want to really send me off down a rabbit hole. Ugly 3D graphics are very in fashion right now on the indie circuit. Like OG PS1 looking games, new games that look like PS1 games are currently very popular.
Particularly when it comes to horror games, but a lot of those,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it works. No, there's artistry to that, man. Like, I think that stuff's starting to come back around to looking cool from an artistic standpoint, the way we came back around and realized eventually that, holy shit, 16-bit is beautiful. It's its own medium.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Same with puppets too in movies. Like that's definitely something I care a lot about whenever the effects be practical.
Oh yeah, dude, you would hate the new Ghostbusters movie, but there's some really good practical puppetry going on in there.
So it's not the puppets I would hate; it's something else.
No,
okay.
It's the story. You would absolutely hate the story.
Oh, I'd hate this. Okay,
I kind of hated the story, so I know you would absolutely like want to set it on fire.
Excellent, noted.
Yeah. It's a bad script. But anyways, I kind of had fun with it. But it's
they're emergency workers, like write it like they're garbage men or
this is a very different movie. I liked it. So the first half is a very different movie. The second half is the first movie all over again, and that's where I got bored. I actually liked it when it was as different as it could be. Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, we should talk after the show about that.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Yeah. Back to this. I do think there's a very realistic chance. Whatever form it takes, I have no clue. I have absolutely no clue, and I think everyone's hope is different. I think some people want HGC is back. Other people want Heroes 3.0, which whatever that is, who the hell knows, right? I have different thoughts for what I would like to see versus what I think they should do from a kind of a smart leveraging the brand perspective. I'm really hung up on the same thing you are, which is Microsoft doesn't have a MOBA. And if you don't have a MOBA, what does that mean? What does that mean here in 2022? It means get that shit on other platforms. I'm not how much value does it really have on Game Pass? The game's already free to play. If you want it, it's there. Obviously adding it to the Game Pass library, okay, it is more eyes. There's more value, I think, for HOTS ending up on Game Pass than Game Pass getting HOTS, if that makes sense. Exposure for the game on Game Pass, good thing for HOTS. I'm not sure Microsoft cares. However, getting a genre you don't currently have, now that's suddenly value in Microsoft's favor. And then that's where my brain starts to run around with, I think that what I would like to see them do and what I think would be smart would be get it on mobile, get it on something like the Switch, right? It's already a MOBA that has a locked camera. I have absolutely no idea how difficult it would be to get this on other platforms. But if I'm thinking about it strictly from what is MOBA in 2022, it's that. You think about what everyone's excited about in MOBAs right now, and it's MOBAs on their phone and MOBAs on their Switch. Pokemon Unite was a really successful game, still is. I don't hear anyone in my circles talking about regular League of Legends. They are all talking about Wild Rift. So that's where my brain's at. Personally, me, myself, I'm always going to be playing it on my computer. I would just love to see a patch. I'd like to get back to a patch every 4 weeks. That would make me just please as punch.
There's one huge hurdle. And when you say reinvest in HOTS, I think there's a very real world where we could see HOTS become and rise in popularity again. And that could lead to more heroes. This game was made during the hyper-thread technology changeover. And it is, in my opinion, the greatest thing that needs to be fixed up. And I think it would be a lot of work. If you're not aware of this, HOTS does not take advantage of more than one core on your CPU, which it means for the average streamer, HOTS is impossible to stream. It's gotten better, but most streamers who stream HOTS are using a 2-computer setup because the CPU cannot handle HOTS on one of its cores and then having to work around it to run a stream at the same time.
I'm not sure. If I knew that, I've definitely forgotten it since. But every time I get a new computer, and I've had 3 over the course of Heroes of the Storm's existence, I'm always floored by how it doesn't really run any better.
Yeah, and if we can't move to phones and we can't move this game around unless that gets fixed. And it's easy to say the assets are there and we could recreate it like Wild Rift, I believe is on its own engine that also Pokemon Unite uses as well. Because that's all Tencent based.
Yeah, that make a lot of sense.
So they created a new engine with the assets, and we would have to do that in that department.
That'd be interesting. Is this a true of StarCraft as well? StarCraft 2 specifically?
Right. So StarCraft, the engine that StarCraft uses is free hyperthread too. So that is why your StarCraft load times have not improved much over the last 7 years.
Gotcha. I still really
Despite-
like the engine. I still think it looks great.
Oh yeah, it's a really solid engine. The art assets and everything are really, really solid. And the connection that they have created is still, I think, the best in the world. Like the response time, the ping, maybe not depending on where you are, right? Those sort of things. I'm talking about like that verification. Like there is it's been described to me in terms I don't fully understand, but the idea that when you fire a Jaina Ice Bolt, it assumes it connects until it gets back to the server and then confirms the hit back to you. That is unreal. And Heroes is still ahead of its time, and StarCraft as well, in just confirming accuracy on shots fired.
Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I think this is a question we're going to continue to come back to until we like hear officially, like we get a word either way. Like we either get the dreaded maintenance mode post that StarCraft got, or we see some sort of like big introduction of some sort of update to the game at a level which we wouldn't expect. So it's a fun place to put our brains. I'm always happy to talk about this, but I don't have a lot of thoughts that are concrete. I think it really could go either direction and take so many different forms. I don't feel certain about anything.
That's true.
Wild West for freaking Blizzard Entertainment right now. I think it's kind of exciting. It's like it's as a content creator that was Blizzard focused for so long and is just now starting to, branch out because a good friend of mine kept screeching at me to play Final Fantasy 14.
Screeching.
I might be editorializing. Last couple of years of covering Blizzard stuff was just like, I mean, it was an exercise in being disappointed and being worried if I could pay my bills. In all honesty, but not really in Heroes of the Storm. Like we had, as we mentioned before, it was like we already went through it. Like our big punch to the gut was HGC getting canceled, and the community was still here. And is still here this many years later. So, like, this is nothing but optimistic for me when it comes to Heroes of the Storm.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
It's a tiered system. If any of my comments seem like a downer, 100%, it's all a good thing in my book. But there are levels of investment that can be made, and some of those are going to have really large barriers to break through.
Yeah. All right. Valk wrote in with a couple of questions. I'm gonna grab this first one. We'll save the other for later, and this is what's going to bring us home, Kyle.
All right.
Valk wants to know, says, remember the Sky Temple recolor in the Dragonshire update? What map do you feel needs a similar touch-up as either of those, if any? I would like to retro Dragonshire because I am so sick of hearing that lady cry about her husband.
I turned off announcers, honestly. I couldn't take it. You can't go map by map, so it means I don't hear, from Spider Queen or anything like that.
Oh, some of them are so great, though.
I know. The
you don't hear
banter
the
of Towers of Doom.
The Gravekeeper is so good.
I know.
You are
Dragonshire
a
ruined
madman.
it all.
Dude,
it's also
listening to I straight up cannot stand the Dragonshire voiceover is worth hearing the Gravekeeper.
I disagree, but also I was doing the replay reviews with Heroes Hearth, so I turned off some sounds that were on repeat. You know what I mean? So
okay, fair.
It was a mutual decision across both production and personal level. I did not. We well documented our the lore our lore talk in the past. Let's not get back into it. But when we're talking about like what needs an update, I think Tomb of the Spider Queen is a little too tan. That's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about like recolors, yeah. So when it comes to
well, he also threw in the Dragonshire revamp, which was more than just a change of tone. Sky Temple was just hard to see stuff on, and that was just something that needed to happen. And I still look at it as one of the most appreciated massive updates and quality of life improvements in this game was making Sky Temple something I can see incoming flame strikes on.
Yeah, I think Tomb of the Spider Queen has a Junkrat problem where the traps kind of blend in and the red circles often get lost in the purple.
No, Kyle, you're mistaking that with the just the Junkrat trap problems, where it is literally the worst thing that ever happened to this game.
True enough. I'll bow to that all the same, but still,
man, I'm looking at Spider Queen. It's funny. I don't think about it as tan. You are right. This is so brown.
Yeah, because right, you immediately go, no, it's like purple and misty, and
yeah, that's where my brain goes. And there is purple mist, because you got all the little smoke vents, right? And that's purple, and all the little gem blaze are purple. But oh boy, it is predominantly. I'm bringing home groceries. I forgot my bags, and I called paper at checkout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's brown, and the purple just almost like accentuates the brown. It's real brown.
As for what map could use a Dragon Shire update, I think just in pure celebration of it being the best map ever, no opinions allowed. Infernal Shrines, just like go in there and just make it beautiful. It is in every single series. The 90% of the replay reviews I do are on Infernal Shrines because it's got the pits, it's got the chokes, it's got the double rotate, it's got the solo lane, it's got everything. And there was such a high chance that tactics were shown and visuals were created. It's in almost every single series of a tournament. It's the preferred map. Go in there, just nothing's wrong with it. Just like pretty it up, shine it like a shrine. You might before a holiday, just get it all
like you're restoring a beautiful car,
right?
Which is untrue because it already looks exactly the way it originally came, right? But just that visual update, bring it up to 2022 sensibilities. Dude, you're getting me hyped talking about Infernal Shrines. You're right, like it is the perfect map. Dear God, would it be? I used to always think it was Cursed Hollow, but I think Infernal Shrines, yeah. If we had to traditional Mobilify Heroes of the Storm and say one map, the rest of it forever, I think Infernal Shrines is my call.
I think so too.
I haven't thought about that in a long time.
The sheer number of activities you do on that map are just great. And it's great being in that pit with the little monkeys, skeletons, whatever you call them. Different players always call them different things.
That said, though, Towers of Doom is so unique. It's unlike anything I can play in any other MOBA. And it's so balanced. Oh, God, the comebacks. I don't think I've won a single Towers of Doom recently where I was ahead for the first 75% of it. It's
a crazy map. It's very busy. Also, visually.
You know what? I think that might be a false positive because I've been playing so much Illidan. I don't think I've won an Illidan game where I was doing well in the first 75%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Well, that's a good question. I want to hear. Folks, write in itncast@gmail.com or drop us a message in the Discord. What map would you like to see just get a new, fresh coat of paint?
And how would you do it? Like, what about it do you feel needs to be added, subtracted, changed?
Yeah. Yeah, this is something I haven't thought about in a while, but you're right, Val. These were impactful. Sky Temple for the better and Dragon Shire for the worse, in my opinion. It looks better.
I love all the Hearthstones, the tree density. Like the visual update was great.
Yeah. I don't need to hear about the dead husband. It bums me out.
It was fine. It was
it's too dramatic.
Dragon.
It's too high school play.
Yeah.
My beloved. It's like listening to 17-year-olds do Shakespeare. It's too much. I can't take it. There was a banging production of Mice and Men, though.
In your high school?
Yeah, I remember going and thinking it was going to be the worst thing ever. I went to support a friend, and I thought I was going to be bored out of my skull, and I was like, "This is freaking good. You guys did great." It's a weird high school memory. It's a very specific high school memory. I did not support my drama friends very much.
I was in theater, so I saw theater degree from college. I saw a lot of really bad productions.
I bet you did. I bet you. I saw a lot of bad art. Some of it was mine.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the bad productions were mine too. I was in them. Yeah.
And don't get me started on GarageBand performances. Ooh. Some rough
Improv
stuff.
troops would be my version of that.
Literal GarageBands too, not stuff you're making on an Apple.
Do they even do improv? Or does everyone
Improv
just
is still
stream
a
on
thing.
Twitch? Yeah.
Improv is totally
Twitch
still a
is
thing.
improv?
Improv is 100% still a thing. I've been thinking it'd be a good thing to do, just to, up my wittiness on podcasts.
No, that's okay. It's a good time. It's a lot of fun.
Did I ever tell you the story? I ended up in one my senior year of college. Like, I needed an elective, like when I was getting my bachelor's, and there were few options, and I ended up taking one thinking it would be fun, and I was just so deeply uncomfortable the first day that I dropped it immediately during the drop ad.
The improv class?
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't know why it was an option in art school, but it was, and I was so deeply uncomfortable. I noped out of there.
Was it just too theater for you?
It was the only class in all 4 years of my bachelor's that I actually got rid of and grabbed something else during the drop ad period. Yeah. Now I think I'd like to do it. But back then I was like, oh, I am so not into this.
What was it, like theater where they're like, you're an egg, you're an elephant?
No, I think we straight up like day one, it was like the yes and just like getting into some improv. And I was just like, I am not comfortable with this.
So improv class, yeah, that's pretty basic.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I didn't think it would ever matter later in life. I didn't see myself firing up a Starcraft podcast in 2010 and going down this road.
It's fair.
Yeah. I was listening to podcasts at the time. You would have thought I would have put two and two together and thought it would be something fun to learn. Anyway, Val, thank you.
Honestly, if I was in college and it's like you can organize 13 people and sign up at shows and bars and just continue, or you can sit at home and play video games and talk to people or run a YouTube channel like that. Like I think my college experience would be very different nowadays.
Yes. Dude, I'm getting a master's in digital strategy, and it's insane how one-to-one it is with what I do. It would have been so cool if I had that experience my first time through college. Like, oh, I see exactly how this is applicable to what I would like to do for a living.
We're using it, we're using, performance thumbnails. It all comes together. But yes, knowing what we're doing now, that seeing the future would be helpful.
Yeah,
in planning your life.
Turns out, yeah. Anyways, Val, thanks for your question. Everybody, thanks for your questions today. Keep them coming. itncast@gmail.com. If you are supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN, come join the Discord server for our supporters. And you can message us right there. Skip the inbox entirely. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Thanks again to our patrons. Speaking of which, supporting us over at patreon.com/ITN. If you listen week in, week out, you like what Kyle and I are doing, and you feel like you want to support us, that's the best way to do so. You're already supporting us by listening, but we appreciate the support on Patreon as well. And a huge thanks to our producers, Declan H., Sean B., and Mike R. Again, if you want to become a producer, check it out. Patreon.com/ITN. We'll thank you every week. Because, you're really helping us pay the bills there. You can catch us live Thursdays, typically at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/AMoveTV. However, next week we will be recording on Wednesday at the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern. Join us, twitch.tv/AMoveTV. And patrons, go sign up and join us for game night next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be streaming that on your channel, Kyle, twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson. Other than that, where can folks find you, dude?
You can find everything I do over at kyleferguson.com, including D&D shows. Here's the Storm coverage, and of course, the Final Fantasy XIV show that is Grinding Gear over on youtube.com/AMoveTV. I want to encourage you all again to go head on over there and see the mighty, edited, produced product that Garrett and I put together.
You're underselling it. We're YouTubers now.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We figured it out. And a lot of people tune in every week and watch it and leave comments, and it's wonderful. It's so cool experiencing this game alongside the community.
Yeah.
Because we just did our part 2 of our run through Heaven's Ward. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 3-parter. I don't know where your head's at, but I've been looking at it. I've been looking ahead just at the quests. I don't look at what's in them. I just look at the MSQ list. And I'm like, I think this is a part 3. But it's so cool because we make these videos and I'm like, I think this is is what's happening. And because I'm afraid to Google it. I don't want to Google if my interpretation of what that character, who that character is and how they fit into the story. I don't want to Google and read a wiki about that character because I don't want to see if they die later on or have some big twist. So it's really cool making these videos because then the community watch the videos and they're like, oh, you sweet summer child, this is actually what happened. And I get information, but it's not spoiler. They just correct my understanding for where I am in the story right now. It's just been so cool. We get hundreds of comments every week, and everyone's so nice. This week we had like 3 mean people. That was it. And there's
it's amazing. Like I've always wanted to, and we've tried in the past to make a book club kind of style show, and getting to do that over there with an MMO, I'm just absolutely digging. Is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool because it really feels like we found a lot of people who are on the same journey that we are. Like coming from WoW, trying Final Fantasy 14, experiencing it with that mindset, and it's been cool. I feel like we found our group over there, so that's rad. So check it out, youtube.com/AimBoobTV. That's what I'd like to promote as well. So please go check it out. Watch more of Kyle and myself. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Into the Nexus. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, everybody. However you get the show, thank you for getting it. And until next week, good luck and have fun.
Take care.